And thank you for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Obama says more than 6 million Americans have signed up for health insurance through Obamacare. That meets a goal set by the Congressional Budget Office, but is still short of the original target of 7 million. The announcement comes as a new poll shows public support for the law is at its lowest level since it passed 4 years ago. Mark Martin has the story.
The White House says it signed up 6 million people in Obamacare.
It's people from all over the country. We do know it's a mix of people, and we know it's a lot of people.
But conservatives question the numbers, saying not all of them are actually paying premiums. They've simply selected a plan. Obamacare ran into more problems this week when the president moved the individual mandate deadline from March 31st to April 15th. House Speaker John Boehner calls the extension a joke.
This is part of a long-term pattern of this administration manipulating the laws for its own convenience. And it's not hard to understand why the American people question this administration's commitment to the rule of law.
I can't think of another law that has been subject to such a sustained barrage of attacks, most of them completely baseless. But that has an impact on public opinion.
The plan is losing favor with the public. An Associated Press GFK survey released before the president's announcement finds only 26% of Americans support the Affordable Care Act. It's also losing support among young, healthy millennials who are needed to pay for it. The latest report showed only 27% make up the total number of enrollees.
When they do the math for themselves and they look into what it's going to cost them, they realize that the rise in premiums and the rise in healthcare costs is just not affordable. And we've also seen a lot of young people lose their healthcare coverage because of Obamacare.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
A big win for Catholic groups in Atlanta over Obamacare's contraception mandate. A federal judge has ruled the government cannot enforce the mandate against certain nonprofit organizations in Georgia affiliated with the Catholic Church. The mandate requires them to pay for and refer women to get abortion drugs and contraception, which violates their religious beliefs. The law exempts Catholic dioceses and archdioceses from the mandate, but not affiliated organizations such as schools, charities, and hospitals. In his meeting with President Obama Thursday, Pope Francis emphasized religious freedom and the right to life. The Vatican's record of the meeting differed significantly from the White House account. The administration said the talks focused mainly on fighting poverty and inequality. The Vatican says the Pope stressed rights to religious freedom, life, and conscientious objection in his conversation with the president. The church has major disagreements with the Obama administration over abortion and the contraception requirement in Obamacare. A federal court in Texas is upholding the state's abortion restrictions. A panel of judges in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that requiring abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals does not violate the Constitution or put women's health in danger. The president of Susan B. Anthony List praised the decision, saying, "From Kermit Gosnell's House of Horrors to Planned Parenthood's meat market-style abortions, the nation's eyes were open to the tragic reality of what goes on inside America's abortion clinics." And in another abortion ruling in Kansas, a court ruled the state can strip Planned Parenthood of federal family planning funds. Rescue teams expect the death toll to climb significantly following that mudslide in Washington state. The official death count rose to 17 late Thursday, but at least 90 people are still unaccounted for, and searchers are battling rain and exhaustion to dig and narrow that list of missing people. At the same time, many are clinging to hope of a miracle in the pile of mud and debris.
As far as I'm concerned, we're still in a rescue mode. I haven't lost hope yet. And there's a lot of people up there that haven't lost hope yet. And so we're not going to run big, huge, heavy equipment over areas where we may collapse something where we could have a survivor.
The president has signed an emergency declaration ordering the federal government to assist with local relief efforts there. A devastating drought and the harsh winter is costing Americans more at the dinner table. From meat to fruit and vegetables, the cost of food is on the rise. Caitlin Burke reports.
Grocery stores across the country are hiking up the prices of some major food staples. In February alone, prices rose 0.4%. And by the end of 2014, experts say they expect them to increase as much as 3.5%. A severe drought in the Midwest is one of the factors to blame for the price increase, and the beef industry has been hit especially hard.
Meat supplies are down. We're expecting meat supplies to be down 6 to 7% this year. And when supply goes down, prices tend to go up.
In January, the USDA recorded the highest price for a pound of fresh beef ever recorded since the government agency began tracking this statistic in 1987. And then there's produce. Higher prices this time of year are normal because of the transition from winter to spring. The concern is about prices later in the year.
As the new crops come in, the prices are high, but this year we expect them to go higher because of some of the crops have been eliminated, mainly because they just won't have enough water.
An unusually cold winter and an increase in demand are other factors that have contributed to the rising price of food.
There might be products that are really affected and other ones that are not. So I think you have to sort of wait and see. And then I think people also will adjust what they eat a little bit to what products are available.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
The search for Malaysia Flight 370 is shifting. Authorities say new analysis of radar data shows the plane was going faster than normal and using more fuel, so it probably crashed earlier than they first believe. The search is now focusing closer to Australia. With weather conditions clearing to continue the search, another U.S. Navy sub-hunter has been ordered to assist. When the Syrian uprising turned into a civil war in 2011, most of the trouble stayed inside Syria's borders. But that's changing. The conflict is now spread beyond the borders into Turkey, Lebanon, and Israel. Chris Mitchell has the story now from Jerusalem.
This week, more than 3 years after Syria's civil war broke out, armored personnel carriers rushed to prevent fighting between supporters and opponents of Syrian President Bashar Assad. But not in Syria, in Beirut, Lebanon, a sign the war has spread well beyond Syria's borders. Here's another sign. Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan at an election rally last Sunday. He's praising the Turkish Air Force for shooting down a Syrian plane after it violated Turkey's airspace.
If you violate our border, our slap will be hard. Therefore, I congratulate first our Chief of General Staff and our pilots.
Also last week, Israeli warplanes struck Syrian military posts in the Golan Heights after a roadside bombing wounded 4 Israeli soldiers. It was some of the worst fighting on Israel's border with Syria in decades. Israel doesn't want a war with Syria, and the Netanyahu government has tried to steer clear of the conflict between Assad and his opposition. But the conflict is expanding anyway.
I think we can already consider now that the Israel-Syria border is back, is a conflict border once again. And what we're going to see, I think, as in common with Israel's other conflict borders, for example, vis-a-vis the Hamas statelet in Gaza, is that we will have periodic rounds of violence in which the Hezbollah or the Assad regime or whoever it is, or perhaps in other sectors of the border, the Sunni jihadis on the rebel side, will try to redress the balance against Israel.
Muslim rebel groups, some backed by al-Qaeda, are gaining ground near the Turkish border. Here they enter a deserted Armenian Christian town. They shout victory from Allah. We shall soon conquer. A short time later, they gain their first foothold on the shores of the Mediterranean. Israel has been treating Syrians injured in fighting. In February, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited a field hospital and met with some of the Syrian wounded. He also pointed to Iran as Assad's chief sponsor in the widening war.
Who's supplying these bombs? Who's supplying these weapons? Iran. Who's giving the instructions? Iran. Who's giving the backing for this butchery? Iran. That's the bad. Here's the good. It's right near.
Middle East analyst Jonathan Spire warns an Assad victory in Syria is a victory for Iran.
This would be an immense victory for the Iranians and therefore an immense defeat for the US interest, which sees, or at least ought to see, I'm not quite sure if the US does right now see it this way, but ought to see the Iran-led regional bloc as the most potent and powerful challenge to Western interest and Western allies in the Middle East.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
A Pakistani court sentenced a Christian man to death for blasphemy. Last March, in the city of Lahore, a Muslim man accused Sawan Masih of insulting the Prophet Muhammad. Even though police arrested him, a Muslim mob rampaged through a Christian neighborhood, destroying homes and forcing hundreds of Christian families to flee. Blasphemy against the Quran, Islam, and its prophet are crimes in Pakistan. Those laws are often used to intimidate and persecute Christians. Coming up, the story of Noah and the Ark comes to the big screen. Some Christians say you should avoid this controversial film, but not all of them. More when we come back.
You had a grandpa named Pop, right?
He died when I was your age.
I saw him in heaven.
What if an ordinary boy,
Is this him?
That's Pop.
Your son had a near-death experience.
discovered the answer to life's most extraordinary question?
Do you think my son went to heaven?
He told me everything was all right.
Based on the incredible true story.
We all want to be supportive.
I want to believe him. But everything he talks about is impossible.
Will you believe?
You saw heaven? It's beautiful.
Heaven is for real. See it this Easter. Rated PG.
Hi, I'm Wayne Allen Root, former presidential candidate, conservative national media personality, best-selling author, and true blue patriot. I call what we're living in today the Great Depression 2. More Americans now receive government entitlements than work full-time. The typical family earns less today than in 1989. I understand exactly what's happening to this economy and how you can protect yourself. So I sat down and taped a 30-minute DVD on the topic with all the critical steps needed to ensure Americans can both survive and thrive in 2014. It's called The Timeless Truth About Money. And it's only available in this special TV offer by calling the number below or by visiting online. Thanks to Swiss America, you'll finally understand the true goal of Obamacare, how our trillions in debt will sink the economy, and most importantly, why your golden years require a whole new golden strategy. Call now.
Start planning your journey to the Holy Land. Come to Jerusalem. Breathe the air Jesus breathed that very night in the Garden of Gethsemane. Walk in his footsteps to Golgotha. Step inside the tomb. See the stone where his body lay. Glory to God, he is risen. Ask your pastor or visit goisrael.com to learn more about making the journey that will transform your faith in God and his word. Experience Israel. You'll never be the same.
The much-anticipated film Noah hits theaters today, but Hollywood's $130 million version of the Bible story has been generating buzz and controversy for months. Some Christian leaders say the director pushed creative license a bit too far. I sat down with him to talk about that criticism and to preview the movie he's been working on for the last 16 years.
Action!
Darren Aronofsky's fascination with Noah began at 13 when he won an award for his poem on the story.
Oh, that was great. Cut. That was good. That was worth it.
Bringing his twist on the Bible story to the big screen is a dream come true, and 16 years of work.
This film is a great entertainment first and foremost, but then it's a visual spectacle of all of the wonders that happen in the Bible.
That spectacle includes the massive ark Aronofsky built, using the Bible as a blueprint, and Hollywood heavy hitters.
It begins.
Like Russell Crowe as Noah.
The Creator destroys this world.
Academy Award-winning Anthony Hopkins plays Noah's grandfather, Methuselah.
I remember growing up and hearing the story of Noah in Sunday school. What's your first connection to the story of Noah?
I do remember that's the first biblical story I heard. I was in Sunday school. It's the only day I ever attended Sunday school. And I remember going home and telling my mother about the snakes and the elephants.
How would you compare what you recall and what you saw in your mind's eye then to what we're seeing on film now?
Well, there's no comparison. I mean, this is a sweeping epic of a story that goes beyond the Bible.
Our family has been chosen for a great task. To save the innocent.
The innocent?
The animals.
Why are they innocent? Because they still live as they did in the garden.
An early draft of Darren's script for the film inspired this graphic novel. Still, this isn't a children's story. Russell Crowe's depiction of Noah is dark, and the tension in his family, heavy.
Some religions say Noah is a prophet. Some people talk of him in terms of
you know, having sort of superhero status, but he was, in my mind, just a man, given a particularly heavy task and quite a burden to carry.
Did you really think you could protect yourself from me in that?
It's not protection from you.
Then what is it?
An ark. To hold the innocent when the Creator sends his deluge to wipe out the wicked from this world.
Return to your cities of Cain. No, we have all been judged.
Looking at the biblical text, very, very short. Noah doesn't speak.
Yeah.
We don't hear from his wife, hear from his children. Where do you go from that to a film of this magnitude?
That was the big challenge. But there were a lot of clues. The more you look, the more interesting things sort of emerged.
Some criticism about the film among all the buzz in anticipation of the film, especially in the Christian community, calling it an environmental crusade, saying that you take too many licenses that veer away from the biblical text. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, all the controversy is coming out of people who haven't seen the film. And now that people are seeing the film, you know, the tide's changed.
In that tide, the National Religious Broadcasters Organization did praise the film for its faithfulness to the biblical themes of sin, judgment, and restoration. But only after Paramount Pictures advertised the film as being inspired by the story of Noah, noting artistic licenses had been taken.
And now that people are seeing it, people are realizing that the values that we have in the movie are very, very connected to the original story and actually raise a lot of conversation about the original story.
Even with controversy, this epic film has people talking about an Old Testament Bible story that hasn't inspired a blockbuster until now.
The Old Testament film's been a genre that's been dead for 50 years, since Cecil B. DeMille's times. No one's kind of undertaken the great miracles of the old book and tried to bring them to life for a 21st century audience. And with all the incredible digital effects that have been used for superhero films, you know, when you have these original superheroes like Noah, what you can bring to life is so exciting.
It's the latest wave in a flood of faith films riding high at the box office. And Noah opens in theaters across the country today. Up next, Orchestra of Exiles meet the musician who saved hundreds of Jews from the Nazis.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Most people have never heard of Bronislaw Huberman. The great Polish violinist founded the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra and used music to rescue hundreds of Jews from Nazi death camps. Now, a new documentary profiles this amazing man's life. Our Gary Lane has more.
The Academy Award-winning movie Schindler's List introduced the world to Oskar Schindler and his work rescuing Jews from Nazi death camps.
It's Hebrew from the Talmud. It says, whoever saves one life saves the world entire.
But who was Bronislaw Huberman?
He was the Schindler of the music world. Schindler saved 1,000 people. Huberman saved 1,000 people, and no one knows him.
Academy Award-nominated director Josh Aronson tells Huberman's story in the documentary Orchestra of Exiles.
He was a hero. He was a heroic character. He was a great violinist. He was a great artist, and he was a great man.
A Jewish child prodigy from Poland, Huberman began playing the violin at age 8. He performed throughout Europe and fell in love with the audiences in Palestine.
The film is about a man who starts the cultural life of Israel by founding the Palestine Symphony. And it's about the difficulty and the obstacles, tremendous obstacles, that were in the way of Huberman in doing this. It was before concentration camps. It's before we knew what was coming in Germany. He talked to people about how dangerous it was going to get. And it was eerie that he had this sense. And because of that, that sort of inner conviction that it was very dangerous for Jews in Germany and that Jews had to get out.
By the end of 1935, every Jew in the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra had left the orchestra. Most had been fired. Eventually, the Nazis invited only so-called special Jews to perform. Huberman refused.
From the moment that Hitler came in, Huberman said he would never play in Germany again until every musician who'd been fired from the Berlin Philharmonic was back in their seats, and from the Frankfurt symphonies and so on and so forth. And he said he wouldn't go otherwise.
Eventually, Huberman decided to form the Palestine Orchestra, a symphony of exiled Jews that would perform music at the very highest levels. He wanted to show the world that the Nazis and their anti-Semitic beliefs could be opposed with the only weapon many Jews possessed: music. Huberman spent 2 years traveling throughout Europe, auditioning the best musicians. Most were Jews exiled from Central European orchestras. Musicians like highly regarded soloist David Grunschlag. Huberman helped Grunschlag and his family move to Palestine.
Luckily for my family, nobody had to go through the ordeals of concentration camps thanks to Huberman, because by getting my father out in 1936 to Palestine, not only saved his life, but also his sister's.
One sister was 20 years old, the other was only 16.
That's us, that's Tony and Rosie, a few years apart.
As Hitler's power and influence grew, the Grunschlag girls knew they had to get out. After several embassies rejected their visa requests, they sent a letter to Huberman, who was housed at a Budapest hotel.
And so Tony wrote him, "Dear Maestro, you are our last hope. Please help us."
Huberman agreed to help. 6 weeks later, the two women received student visas and were on their way to Palestine.
He made it all happen, yes.
He knew any Jew, he gets out of Europe, he's probably saved his life, or at least spared him a lot of misery, a lot of suffering.
And in the process, Huberman brought music and culture to the desert.
It was a big deal coming to a land where the culture is almost non-existent, but everybody is very, very thirsty for it. There was a lot of excitement in the air, you know, hustle and bustle. This was a country in the making.
Led by Italian conductor Arturo Toscanini, the Palestine Symphony performed its first concert on December 26, 1936. The event was broadcast on radio and heard by millions around the world. Huberman also started a music school. He insisted that all symphony players instruct others, so a new generation of musicians could be built in Palestine. When Israel became a state in 1948, the Palestine Symphony was renamed the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra. Huberman died in 1947. Though he never heard his orchestra perform the Israeli national anthem, the Hatikva, his legacy lives on.
So there is this evolution, the seeds of culture that Huberman planted here, that he brought from Central Europe. We are reaping its rewards today, and we will continue to reap its rewards.
I imagine you're a great admirer of Huberman.
I am a great admirer of Huberman.
What do you admire the most about him?
For a man to stand up against intolerance and sacrifice so much of himself and to change himself in doing it. He saw something happening in the world that demanded a response. And so many people today, and this is, I hope, the lesson of the film, so many people are so quick to look the other way.
Aronson's film helps people look at Nazi anti-Semitism and see how one man not only used music to save hundreds of lives, but also to restore a little bit of humanity to an entire world. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
And finally, Operation Blessing is providing food for Sudanese refugees in Kenya. Families fleeing war-torn South Sudan seek safety in neighboring Kenya, but many of them arrived to Kakuma refugee camp in northwestern Kenya with only the clothes on their back and little to no food. With the help of a local church, Operation Blessing teams recently set up multiple food distribution points just outside the camp, providing 80,000 pounds of maize to reach nearly 4,000 refugee families in desperate need. And that is going to do it for CBN News Today. You can find most of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. Hope you join us again right here next time. Have a fabulous Friday.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.